Good morning, everyone. How are you today? Happy Monday. It is a bright one here, so we're starting off on a good note. For those of you who are joining for the very first time, welcome. My name is Patricia Hayes. I am an executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And all that means is that I love working with people who are trying to get to the next level in their careers, but need some help, right? So maybe they've gotten a little stuck, they've got some confidence issues, they've got some advocacy issues, but most of all, they're underutilizing their professional relationships to help them in leveraging themselves to that next level. So that is what I specialize in. And we have been going along this month. Normally, we have themes by week or month. And this month has really been kind of a hodgepodge based on real time issues that are coming up with clients, with people who are calling me for consults, and things like that. And so, in continuation of that, this week's topic, wading into the deep tips for next level career moves, because I have noticed a trend in the last few weeks. And that is something we're going to talk about here just shortly. But before we move on, for those of you who may have to tip out before we get to the end, I want to remind everyone that the networking masterclass is back and it will be up and going. Was it next Tuesday? I can't remember the date. But it's the Building Your Profitable Professional Relationships Masterclass. And I'm so excited to be bringing that one back into this year. And you will be able to get registered for it. It should be available on the link in my bio, wherever you're checking. If not, just go to the website, patriciavhayes.com, and get you registered. It is a free a free masterclass, but I just want to, make sure you get back in, share it out with folks so that we can get re-engaged on that topic in particular. Okay, now for today's topic, wading into the deep tips for next level career moves. So as I was mentioning, there have been this like trend of conversations that I've had over the course of the last few weeks, maybe even probably a month. And that is, I have been noticing some old colleagues, some old clients, friends coming to me because it's like, hey, it's time to go to the next level. I'm looking to apply for this next position. I'm wanting to shift or change. And if I'm looking at it, it's been like a 3-year cycle for folks, right? So it's like that's been fascinating in and of itself. But the thing that really just keeps honing in is as folks are coming and saying, hey, I'm looking to move to the next level or to do something different at a different level and maybe in the same organization or a different one. The bottom line is like things change once you are ready to go to that next level. People change, situations change, and how you approach those things should change as well. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today is that as you're waiting out and you're trying to be like, okay, next level for whatever it is you're going to do, here are the tips that you are going to want to remember to move forward. And we can always, you can always reach out to we can have a little chat about some more specific things. But in general, here are the things. So the first thing I want to make sure I'm going to toss out here, and I will mention it again at the end. And I couldn't find my copy of it, but it's a book that's called The First 90 Days. And if you are in a leadership position at a completely new level or different, it doesn't matter how experienced you are. I highly recommend that book. I believe the author is Michael Watkins that comes to mind. But anyway, I'll find it and drop it in the comments. But it's a fabulous book that I know that I utilized several years back as I was entering into some new leadership levels. And what was fascinating about it is not just like, oh, how you handle it. It's helping you to recognize what your organization, what your situation looks like, right? Whether it's an entrepreneurial startup type thing, or if it's an established organization. based on what's going on inside the division, the organization that as it is right now. So you can have a completely startup um, a division inside a well-established organization. Like I have been faced with that several times in my career. So it's not just about, oh, well, this organization's been around, 30 years. But if you're starting something brand new, what you are doing and how you approach it is going to look completely different than what's going on in the rest of the organization. Okay. Trust me on that. I have been in one of those kind of startup situations inside of established organization. I have been in a complete overhaul, rehaul, situation inside of established organization. I mean, so it does not look the same. And people will come and tell you that, right? Like I remember those times when people come and say, like, hey, you got to slow down. You make the rest of us look bad. I'm like, I don't have time to slow down. Do you see what I'm dealing with? Right. So it's going to be interesting to watch how those things evolve for you. But here's the first tip. You absolutely positively must have a reality check because because the reality is things and relationships will change, right? It doesn't matter how long you've been there. You could have been there 20 years. You could have been there since the organization started. But if you are in a new position of leadership, new position of authority, a brand new title with significant responsibilities underneath of it, trust you me, things are about to change and you may or may not be ready for it. Okay. This is one of the biggest things I think that that trips up new leaders because they get a new title, they're super excited and like, oh, my bud's gonna be so happy for me. And guess what? Some of them really may be, but there are gonna be some people who are not so happy for you. They may be a little jealous, they may be threatened, whatever. It doesn't matter the reason. The point is, there are gonna be folks who you would assume would be supportive of you in this new role who are not going to be, as well as the flip, because we don't want to just be negative, but the flip of that is you will find people who are supportive of you that you didn't even know you know knew who you were, right? So you have to um, come to grips with that reality. First of all, that things are going to change, relationships are going to change. It's not all for the bad, but it's definitely going to be different. Okay. And that's going to be hard for some people, especially if had close relationships with some colleagues. If you were, some of that, the buddy thing that you were doing may not be appropriate or may not be able to be sustained inside the work environment, right? So maybe you can be friends outside of work, but in work, inside of work, it's going to shift because of the titles and the positions or whatever. I'm not saying ditch your friends. I'm all about authenticity and remaining true to who you are and the people that you work with and those types of things. But the reality is everybody around you is not going to get that. So this is, one of those things we're going to talk about later about getting support that you will need support in. But first, you got to come to grips with that reality. Things are going to shift, relationships will change, and they don't all change right away. There will be some things that shift immediately, and you will notice. And then there will be some that may be 3, 6, even as long as 12 months down the road. Okay. And I am telling you, not just what I've heard or what I read about, I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I know. So just be aware of it. The second thing is you want to make sure that you engage, after you've had this reality check, and it may give you a little bit of, angst. It's okay, right? It's totally normal. But the second thing is you want to make sure you engage in an objective self-assessment or reflection because it is crucial to what's going to happen next. This is not a beat yourself up or, oh, I'm not going to be good enough to do. This is not that kind of session. This is a sit down. We've done our reality check. We're starting to see some things move and shift around. And then, but this is an assessment of yourself objectively, right? To say, okay, what are my strengths in moving into this? What are my areas of improvement that are going to be needed? Where am I going to need support? What are some things that are already shifting that I didn't expect? Where might some of that happen next? And how am I going to deal with it? You may not know the answer to all of those questions right off the bat. I don't expect anyone to. However, you absolutely should have the questions. Write them down. Everybody knows I'm a huge fan of reflection and journaling and writing those things down. This is absolutely a time to keep a journal for how you can approach your growth during this experience, during this journey. Okay, because it is going to be a journey. And you will want to be able to have an outlet for that, especially, for those times when, maybe you can't get somebody on the phone and you can't run a coffee with someone to express some frustration or whatever. Write it down, write it in the journal, express what it is, because you will be surprised at what gets worked out just as a result of you expressing it in writing. Okay. So make sure and take that time. Here's a huge mistake again that people make is they're so excited about the next position, or maybe, you've gone from an interim title to you've got the permanent title. So you're just like going all guns ahead, just full force, but you don't take that time to reflect. You don't take that time for assessment of where you are and where you want to go. And I'm not talking about what your boss and the organization says, here's where we want to go with this. No, that's going to happen because that serves their purposes, it serves their needs. I'm talking about what is it that you want to accomplish? How do you want to approach things? What are the things, experiences, and journeys you expect to have as a result of this new leadership role, this new project, new title, whatever it may be? Okay. This is important because, as if you followed me for any length of time, I have said before that what your boss or organization prioritizes may not be the same as what you have to prioritize for yourself. All right. And so you need to be aware of that. Otherwise, those things that you want to accomplish for yourself that are your benchmarks for how you define success in this new role are going to get wiped away by trying to meet the needs of everyone else. And that takes you to a not healthy place, ultimately. Ultimately, it takes you to a not healthy place, right? So you want to be able to establish that and take on that assignment early on, right from the beginning, even if it means stealing some time away during the weekend, um, taking that time. It's just really, really important, even as a part of this new role, this new responsibilities, whatever, to build in that reflection time on a weekly basis at a minimum. All right, maybe you do something every couple of weeks or monthly with your team or something like that. But it is highly recommended to do that on a regular basis for yourself to reset so that you can catch things a little bit earlier on, right? There are things, there will be patterns that will show up. And so that when you're a month in, 2 months in, 3 months in, you can say, okay, I watched this develop and it never went away. Let's see what we need to do with this, right? As opposed to, no reflection time, no self-assessment, and 3 months in, you're caught off guard by something that you really and truly probably could have nipped in the bud sooner. Okay. So reflection is crucial. Always a huge fan of that. The third thing, sorry, is make sure to identify your current support network. I'll call this your fan club. Y'all know what that is, right? And your fan club does not have to be people that work with you. Most likely they are not. There may be a few, especially depending on the size of your organization. But your fan club are those people who stand in your corner. They're there to support you regardless of what's going on. And that person will check in and say, hey, how are you doing? I was thinking about you today. Let me know if you need anything. This is the time to say, yeah, I just need a chat to say, hey, this is going on. What tips do you have for me? What do you see because you know me? What things can you provide for me as far as insight for me as I go to the next level? I remember having this conversation during one of my major transitions with folks who were watching me at a much closer level than I realized. And when I heard what they had to say, I was blown away, right? So there were some of those self-confidence issues and self-doubt things that really and truly was like, hey, I've got this, because this person who's not living and engaging with me on a regular everyday basis still has this to say about my work, about who I am, how I present myself in the professional marketplace. And so you need those people to be your chair club, right? And that's just not to say they're like falsely like, oh, just saying good things about you and then not no depth to it. Not at all. These are also the folks who will give you the valuable that you may need in order to succeed, but in a healthy way, right? Not the negative, tear you down type of thing, but the actual valuable insights, because they know you, they know your work, and they will serve as a basis for you and a foundation for you to move forward and building this new role. Okay, so things evolve. Sometimes your fan club evolves, things shift. Some people who were there at one time won't be there for the next, and again, this is all a part of the growth process. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Isn't that how that goes? So don't think just because you've gone to this next level that these other folks aren't going to be there for you anymore. Don't make that assumption on their behalf. All right. Engage with people. Let people fall off as they will, but you would be surprised who continues to stick it out with you, as well as some folks who you didn't realize was a fan club member who will step up. Okay. Which gets us to the last point, which is build your new network and your new support systems, right? You have to do this when you're going to the next level. There are going to be new experiences, new challenges, new opportunities. And when that happens, there's also this great, fantastic opportunity for new people to come in who will be a part of your support system, who will be a part of your, new member of your fan club. Don't blow everybody off, right? But because here's the reality, what got you here won't keep you here. So you have to be willing to grow into it. There's a saying about what is it about being the whether you want to be the big fish in a small pond or a little fish in a big in a big ocean. And sometimes, when you're going to that next level, you're the little fish in the big ocean. So you can be a little overwhelmed. You're like, I'm not ready for these people yet, or, and you can have those types of things. But the reality is you're growing. The potential for your growth is high. So this is the opportunity to grow up, to build up, to reach out, to put yourself out there. This is a little bit on that vulnerability. Maybe that's what I'm going to post for Wednesday is the session about vulnerability in your networking and in your relationship building, and how important it is for the next level of growth. Okay. So if you want to grow, you got to put yourself out there. You got to be willing to accept input and help from new places and new sources. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to listen to everything every little person has to say, right? Because again, the next level was it new level, new devil. There are going to be some people who are not your fans who may come off as being so helpful, and they really might be undermining you. But the flip of that is there are people who are not, so, that who are supportive of you, who are taking a good interest in where you're going and how you're doing. And so you have to take your time and build in some good discernment, right? Listen to your gut and follow through and make sure that, you're just taking everything in. And one of the best ways in order to manage all that is to make sure you have sound supports in place. So whether that is an accountability partner that you're able to maintain from your previous, from your previous levels or work or whatever, whether you have a trusted mentor, or honestly, sometimes you just got to pay for that help. You got to pay for a coach who will say, "So what's going on again?" Because they're not invested in what it is you're doing. They're invested in your growth, but not in everything that's going on around you. And so they can provide that objective input, and strategy on how you approach situations. I have people who have come back to me exactly for that. Because it's funny because people think, "Oh, well, just coming for to you to get the next job." True. Like people will come back, they're like, "Hey, I'm trying to level up. I need your input on what to do, how to approach these things as we move forward." Cool. But here's the kicker is once people get in place and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, I need some support to get through these first 3 months," or whatever it might be. Because yeah, you got the new job, you got the new role, and now you realize you got to have some support in order to make it through it, in order to transition into it. That transition time period is crucial. Do not go into it without support. All right. I have made that mistake. I have helped others to overcome that mistake. Do not go into a major transition without support. All right. And what that looks like for you, that's up to you. Right. And if you don't know what that should look like, I'm happy to get on a consult call, chat with you about it. It won't be about, "Oh, well, you just need to hire me." It will be like, "No, here are your other opportunities. Here are your other resources based on what you've told me." But it's really important for you. Again, remember, we started off with a reality check about what it is you're doing, what's your next level, and how you plan and want to engage at that next level. Okay. So that's it. That's what we have for you today. I am pretty sure I'm going to add in. We're going to do a little video flashback on Wednesday, and I'm going to go look and pull up that vulnerability piece because I think that is going to be really important, coupled with what we've talked about here today about that next level career moves and what it is you need to do. Who do you need to have in your corner? And what we did not talk about here today, but only just hinted at, is what is it that you need to do as far as opening yourself up to be open to new people, new opportunities, and viewing things in a different way. Okay, so that's what you're going to see on Wednesday. And next week, we'll get back to, because we've got a few networking coffee chats in the pipeline. So you're going to see some great folks coming down the way here in the next few weeks. I'm super excited about that. Again, if you need any assistance or if you know someone who does, do not hesitate to reach out to me or send them, connect them up in my DM or through the website. And also, don't forget to go sign up for the Building Your Profitable Professional Relationships Networking Masterclass that's coming up next week. If you register, because it's on Tuesday, 11:30 Central Time. But if you register and can't make it at that time, it's perfectly okay. I will send you the recording afterwards. Okay. So register to get the recording. If you don't register, you don't get anything. So register to get the recording. You'll have access to it for, I think normally I do about a week or so, and then it'll get pulled down. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking around, for joining me. Have a fantastic week. I look forward to talking with you all in the coming days. Take care, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.